The Divine Beast Acrocanthosaurus is now available to play as in Path of Titans as a mod, and you can find it on numerous modded servers, namely the Divine Beast server itself. Of course, this is here, and it is the complete rework of their old Acrocanthosaurus, which technically was one of the first large theropod mods to come to the game, and this is it completely overhauled. The old version is no longer accessible. So let's get right into it. Here is the male of the Acrocanthosaurus, the colorations of the male. He switched to the female. There isn't actually much change. I think the colors just get very slightly lighter on the female. That being said, you get a variety of different subspecies. The first one is this one, Acrocanthosaurus, and then we move on to the other ones. You've got the 2000 version, which is plus 5% attack. You've got the 2005 version, which is plus 7% stamina, which obviously it goes through like the different builds of Acrocanthosaurus over the years. Then you get the 2009 version, which is plus 5% speed. As you can see, the snout is narrower, and the overall build, it seems that arch is a lot thicker. Then you get the 2018 version, which is plus 5% turn. This is a lot chunkier. The snout now is slightly thicker than the 2009 version, but it's pretty nice. Then you go to the 2023 version, massively chunky, plus 5% armor. This thing looks gorgeous. A very nice little dinosaur there, a very nice model. And then you go back to the standard one. So let's go ahead in game and check the baby out. So here is the baby Acrocanthosaurus, and I gotta say, it's got the baby skin of Daspletosaurus, right? But this thing looks absolutely adorable. I really like it. You get a standard bite attack when you are a baby, and that equates, when you're looking at it damage wise on a target, it's obviously not going to be that much because it's a baby and this is a big target, but I mean, it is actually a fair amount of damage for a baby to do, especially when you're biting the legs. You can also jump as the baby as well, and so that can allow you to hit higher hitboxes. But of course, when you get older, you're not going to be able to jump that high or jump at all, and also you drain a lot of stamina when you jump as a baby. So when it comes to abilities, the Acrocanthosaurus has a lot. Now, this is quite important to know because, of course, this thing, as much as things go, it gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at the max in terms of what you can equip for attacks. So you have to be careful there. Of course, you're almost maxing out on the amount of attacks that you can do, but it's not quite there. So when it comes to this, of course, let's have a look. Firstly, with the passives, you start off with Stout Spine, which increases knockback on the bash attack and increases knockback resistance by 35%, and then Vigorous Spine, which increases damage output by 10% and decreases armor by 5%. Moving on to your attacks. You have 4 here with 2 options that you can pick from. Of course, 2 head slots, 4 different attacks. Bash is the one that gets benefited by one of those passives, by the way. So this is a strong bash that deals good damage and knockback. Upon hitting the target, it increases the Acro's turn and attack damage slightly for 8 seconds. Bite causes medium damage, and then you've got Sunder, which is a charge up attack that deals high damage and sunders a target. When sundered, the target is stunned in place for a second and loses 5% speed and armor for 5 seconds. Upon hitting a target successfully, the Acro goes in a frenzy and deals 5% more damage and even 0.1 bleed for 5 seconds. That's really cool. Then you got Mutilating Bite, which deals medium damage, or medium bleed, sorry, and grants 1% of food and water per bleed hit. This is interesting because it's very similar to the Giganotosaurus that Divine Beasts have, where you can tear a meat chunk off your opponent. So that's actually important to know. This is a very similar bite attack. For the sensors, you've got Solitary Stalker and you've got Reclusive Ravager. Reclusive Ravager gains 5% increased attack damage and 10% armor when not in a group, and Solitary Stalker when not in a group as well. And out of combat, the Acro has 15% more stamina and deals 30% more damage on the first hit. So that's really cool to know. Of course, then you get 2 claw abilities. You get Counterbalance, which increases turn in place radius by 15%. And you get Claw Swipe, which deals medium damage and medium bleed. After a successful hit, the Acro gains 3% movement speed and high acceleration for 4.5 seconds. So a lot of these have their own buff. Then you go to your metabolisms. You get Glutton, which can allow you to eat meat, fish, and carrion and bones. Hyper Carnivore, which allows you to only eat meat. And then Scavenger, that allows you to eat meat, carrion, and bones. Then you go to your hide, you've got 5 options here. Durable scales, Marathoner, resilient scales, robust scales, and slick scales. When it comes to slick scales, this is the standard as usual. Bucking and struggling while being carried will now drain enemy stamina 30% faster. Of course, robust scales significantly reduces all forms of damage and status effects taken on the first hit before combat timer. Resilient scales increases bleed and venom healing by 30%. Marathoner increases max stamina by 5% and stamina recovery rate by 10%. And durable scales increases armor by 15%, increases knockback power by 10%, but likely decreases your acceleration. A lot of these are really good, and they have very little downsides, aside from durable scales. So, yeah, I mean, it's slight decrease in acceleration, but it should be fine. For your stomp, you have the Mega Stomp, a slow stomp with a wide area of effect. Weaker than other stomps, but with a greater radius. It can knock back away targets and useful to get someone off the Acro's back as well. Then for your back limb, you've got a charge attack, which is a charge forward in a line, causing damage to anything you hit. Then you get tail and balance. Balance gains 5% turn radius. Tail attack obviously does light damage. And finally, you get 2 vocal abilities. You get Power Up and you get Towering Presence. Both of these, as far as I'm aware, you don't need to be in a group to do. So Power Up is a buff call that heals 7% of health, grants 7% of armor, 20% bone break resistance, and 20% bleed heal rate for 30 seconds. And Towering Presence decreases the armor and turn rate of all Tyrannosaurs, Sauropods, and Hadrosaurs within 30 meters for 30 seconds, and it can't be stacked. But, of course, let's show off all these attacks. So, that is the attacks on the Acrocanthosaurus. There is a lot there, and it's honestly all pretty good. The best thing I think about this one is all of these abilities you can do solo. There's no group buffing ones. There's none that like you are needing to be in a group to use. But now let's see how the damage stacks up to our Iguanodon. Of course, how unfortunate. Here it is. Okay, so let's bite it. A big amount of damage right there. That is a huge chunk. You could tear apart an Iguanodon very, very, very quickly. There you go. 4 attacks pretty much already at half health. Of course, that's a lot of damage. Now let's showcase the headbutt, the bash. You have to do this while walking, but it does do knockback, and it does similar damage to, you know, the bite attack. So, yeah, that's also important to note. Then you have your charged up attack. This is Sunder. Now, let's see how much damage this does. So, we're going to charge it up for as long as we can, and then boom. Same amount of damage as the standard bite attack, or maybe a little bit more, it looks like. I don't know, maybe it's because I hit it more there in a sense. I don't know. But you have a 7-8 second cooldown there, and obviously that is going to be important. Then you've got this one, which I believe is the bleed attack. It does a lot less damage, so bear that in mind. Then you have your claw swipe. Does the same amount of damage as the bleed attack, but you also bear in mind this thing does bleed too, and it's more downward facing, so you're likely to hit the lower, smaller hitboxes. Then you have the mega stomp. Now I don't know which angle it is. I think it's on this side. So yeah, this is the mega stomp. Does knockback, does similar damage to the bite attack, but of course, as far as the stomp goes, it's not a major amount of damage. And then we wrap it up with the tail attack. Of course, this ain't going to do loads of damage, but it does a decent amount. It's got that 2-3 second cooldown there, so you can't spam it. But it does, you know, it says light damage, but there's definitely attacks like the claw swipe and that light bleed attack that do less damage than that tail swipe. One attack that I forgot to do, by the way, is the charge. So let's really quickly give that a go and showcase it to you right now. There you go. Yeah, it does knock back. It has a 2.5 minute cooldown. I probably could have gave that more damage, like by having it do longer, but yeah, I mean, when it comes to the attack, that's pretty much what you're getting there. The longer you have it charged, the better. But this thing is insanely powerful. Like, honestly, hats off to the creators of this one. It is great. So the Acrocanthosaurus gets 21 skins, and there's a whole variety of skins here to showcase. So starting off with the default one, here it is. The purples mainly is what changes. Then you've got the Badlands skin, which changes on the head. Mainly the blacks and the yellows, by the looks of it. Pattern there. Kind of reminds me of a newt, kind of. Then you got the jungle skin, followed by the brown skin, a nice subtle brown. Then you get hunter, mainly red. The pattern change, it looks like, is to do with, you see these patterns here, you see that white grey blodge on the arm, it looks like that's what changes. Like, I don't know, it's not a big change. Then you got the mesa skin, which is a gorgeous skin. Favorite patterns, pattern 3. Monarch, obviously based off the monarch butterfly. Then you get the mud bath skin, the old guard skin that obviously changes on the white. Then you get the orca, which is nice. I'm not gonna lie, this mod group likes to put orca skins on their mods. Probably a hint towards the fact that the next mod they're making is the orca. Then you get the piebald, another gorgeous skin. Then you get the popsicle, once again a really pretty skin. I love it. You've got the blues on the legs, you've got the oranges, you've got the reds, you've got everything you could ask for there. Then you get the primal skin. Then you get the ptarmigan, I think that's how you say it, but it's a really pretty skin regardless. Then you get pumpkin. I know someone who will love this skin. Then you have the savannah skin right there. Then the sickle skin. This one, I'm not gonna lie, is probably my favorite one, especially pattern 2 on it. Pattern 3 is decent, but you know, pattern 2 is very nice. Melanistic, albino. Then you get the desert, and then the pepper skin. And I gotta say, my favorite one out of all of these is probably the pumpkin, the sickle, piebald, popsicle, and the mesa skin. Probably my favorite ones there. Let me know what one's your favorite. But of course, that is the Acrocanthosaurus from Divine Beasts. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments down below. Do you like it? Do you not? But also, you know, if you don't like it, provide some constructive criticism instead of bashing the mods, of course. But other than that, guys, if you want to check out something else, I recommend you check out this video, full update overview from the latest update. Other than that, I'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Peace.